Start streaming. Uh, just making sure that the YouTube is working. There, we're live on YouTube now too. You're stuck here forever. Okay, so today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about action taking. Thank you for joining, even if you're here by accident. If you have any questions, just leave a comment down below. Other than how do you leave, I will never tell you that. You're stuck here forever. So something that I talk to a lot of my clients with, some people, some of my friends are like, "Yo, how do you stay on top of things?" And yes, Harvey's on the phone now. So the best way to stay on top of things is just focusing on taking small steps. I love you too, Tien. Thank you. I love you, man. Uh, Taking small steps and congratulating yourself for taking small steps. I think something that a lot of us get caught up on, is the big picture of things, but the best thing to focus on is the next step, right? My mom, when I first moved to New York City, I struggled a lot. I don't know if you know this, but I was really frustrated and I would cry. And I called my mom and I said, "Mom, I just want to come back home. Like, I'm not making any progress here. What am I even doing here? And I'm not seeing it, like, no money, no connections, nothing." And my mom actually gave me some tough love. She's really popular for doing that. Hey, Brian, thanks for joining here. And I think giving yourself tough love in general and patience is really important because if you're able to focus on what small thing that you have to do, what's the next small thing, and just focusing on what you can do in your current situation. A lot of us want to shoot the next biggest thing. A lot of us want to be involved with the Oscars, the Emmys, something next level. But the real progress is made when you just focus on what the step is that you could be taking. If you're really into Childish Gambino is actually a really big comedy inspiration of mine when I was younger because he had a comedy group called Derek Comedy. So if you've ever seen it, he just made a lot of shorts that were really funny, and he actually self-produced a movie. I forget what it's called. I think it was like Detective Kids or something. You can look it up, but now when you see him with millions of views and millions of followers, it's really interesting to see his path grow. Where in interviews and stuff now, people are like, "Well, how do I get started? How do I be a filmmaker like you? How do I be big like you?" And he's like, "You just start, you just shoot." And like his mindset sound kind of sounds rough, where it's like, um, you know, you don't he says you don't actually want to be doing this. Like you don't actually want to be here because if you did, you would just start. And I think that's something that a lot of us get caught up on is wanting to be like Childish Gambino, like, somewhat a big name, but it's really just taking the small steps and focusing on what situation you're in and what you can currently do. Yo, what's up, George? What's up, John? Thanks for joining. Um, Something that I've tried to work on over the years is even if you're doing it in small spurts, say if you have a really busy work week, is just like instead of focusing on when your next vacation is, just focus on when the next film that you can shoot. When's the next time that you can sit down and write or outline a script, right? And even if it takes you a few years, you're still being involved in the process. You're still engaging with that mind space. You're still engaging with that creative side of your mind. You're still engaging with being focused, right? So even if you're doing small 5, 10 minute increments during the day, say when you wake up or when you go to sleep, um, you're still engaging. And that's the important part. Because, I mean, if you're like me, you have a very busy life, you have a lot of things that you want to do, you want to hang out, you want to go visit people, you want to, see your girlfriend, boyfriend. And it's important to take a part of your day for yourself no matter what every day. And finding finding why that's important to you. And something for me is learning how I stay motivated. And maybe if you're just somebody that's just starting out and you work at a grocery store still and you don't even know what you want to do. You don't even know if you want to get into film or what that even means. So, something that I did when I was younger is I just focused on that next thing. I focused on that week of work. I focused on what I enjoyed doing, who I enjoyed hanging out with. Because if you are in the situation where, you are in a job that you're actually really happy with, but you don't know where that exactly is going to lead, and you don't feel motivated. Um, what's up, Josh? Hey, Brady Clark, let me know what's your job? What do you make your income at? Because if you are someone that has a good job and really enjoys it, it's still important to have some sort of overall drive so that you're not just being led one way or another. Like having a clear thing in your mind of where you want to go and what outcomes you see, right? Because if you're just like, oh, I'll just take life as it comes and I don't really know what's going to happen. I don't have a plan for everything. Like, that's good in one hand because you're being present to the moment, but it's bad in another hand because you're not exactly sure what you want to be doing. There's no drive, right? So, it's good to combine them both. Another thing I really want to talk about here is the the left and the right. A lot of times we talk about Democrats and Republicans, and that person has a different opinion than me. But it's like take the value, information, and knowledge that that person has, and just absorb it anyway. Just be like, oh, okay, so and so thinks, that we didn't actually land on the moon. So instead of just being like, well, I think we did, and here's all the facts, right? Just take the information that they're giving you and let them give you the information and just be like, okay, yeah. There's a lot of teachers that I've had throughout my life, in school, outside of school, and there's some things that I don't personally agree with. And you might be in a position where you're learning something very specific, or I don't know, what type of position. If you're in the chat, let me know. Let me know what you are currently into and what you're learning. Because there's always going to be a nugget that is going to help you more than anyone else. Whatever you're learning, there's something that you can personally apply that's going to be more effective than anything else. Because if you're an artist, if you're a politician, if you're a human being, there's always going to be things that you're really good at, things that you're okay at, and things that you're bad at, right? And so it's not necessarily about trying to fucking be the best all the time. It's realizing what you are good at, and really ramping that up to 11. And the things that you're really bad at, you can either build a team around or just accept that you're bad at it. And rather than being a basketball player that's kind of good, like if you're Michael Jordan and you're kind of good at golf and kind of good at football and kind of good at filmmaking, it's better to just hone in and be an amazing basketball player, right? So for me, excuse me, I started out as a drummer and as a musician that learned how to do sound mixing just to make music. And then when I moved to New York, something for me has always been like a hybrid connection of being an actor and being a technician. In my mind, I thought I could always merge the two of them because they're relative skills to each other. So if you're someone that's a cinematographer, rather than just trying to learn how to play guitar better, maybe it's focusing and honing in on how to take more pictures, how to do something with graphic design, understanding, how to make movie posters, right? So, or maybe just headshots. Okay, there's different things, but what you need to do is understand where your core competency is and really crank that up to 11. Because if you are someone, hey, what's up? If you are somebody that enjoys one thing, just really hone in on that. So for me, it was sound mixing. Like I really enjoyed music. I still love music. And now I'm working on a music video. It's being edited by my boy Nico. He's amazing, really great guy, really great editor as well. And so to merge the idea of being a filmmaker and also my love for music by producing and directing music videos, there is going to be a cross section of skills and information. And that's really important because if you are someone that doesn't feel like they have any skills or knowledge, you're wrong. Like, even if you, like, unless you are a baby, you've had some experience through life and you can apply that to whatever it is. So for me, it was filmmaking and sound. So starting out in music and getting into the filmmaking world was really interesting because when you're in the sound mixing world, there's a very contained, very controlled environment for sound. But when you're working on film sets, you're like out by the desert. You're near like a coffee shop, and you can't turn off the refrigerator or the coffee machine. And just being able to ebb and flow and really letting everything happen when it needs to happen, right? There's always airplanes overhead, and some people are like freaking out, like, oh, there's an airplane. It's like, yeah, there's always an airplane. There's always going to be some sort of background noise as a sound mixer, and accepting that, but pushing forward. And when you understand where your core competencies is, you're like Michael Jordan slam dunking on bitches at the fucking NBA finals rather than somebody like LeBron James trying to work in like a law office where you're like, like you ever see The Incredibles where Mr. Incredible is like this giant man and he's just like typing away on a really small computer? That's what you don't want to do, right? So your core competencies and understanding that you can work in a corporate office as Mr. Incredible, right? It's like, but it's understanding that you also need to go out and do that superhero work, you know, and understanding what each thing that comes to you provides to you. So if you're Mr. Incredible, you know, working behind the desk job, it provides you an alibi, it provides you actual income for your family. But understanding what something is giving you and what something's taking away. Something that I really also wanted to jump back to was when you are in a situation when you're learning or observing from somebody, just taking the information that you can from someone. And even if you don't agree with it, just be like, oh, okay, I can see how you're struggling with that. Or like, I understand that you think that. Like, you don't have to start an argument or anything. Like, even those words are kind of argumentative. But to be on this planet Earth, you need to accept that not everyone's going to think the same, or maybe somebody has been through different life experience that has led them to believe something that maybe you have not come to believe and it doesn't make sense for you to believe, right? So for me, I think that the world can be tough, but that you can shine your light and that love can lead you through, right? And that can provide lots of things throughout life. But if you're in a position that, you know, life is not all hunky dory and that things are really difficult for you in the moment, sometimes it's hard to keep that mindset. Sometimes it's like life is tough and I got to get a helmet, you know? And but going through different paradigms, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about paradigms here, is paradigm what a paradigm is your level of understanding about something, right? So if you need a job, there's one level of paradigm that's like, okay, how do I get a job at McDonald's? The next paradigm is how do I become a manager at McDonald's? Another paradigm could be like, how can I own a McDonald's, right? So all three of those paradigms are completely relative and will all have a job, but the level of competency and the outcome of things that happen from each question of each paradigm will respond appropriately to what you are thinking, right? So if anytime that there's a break in paradigms, a paradigm shift, it's called, let me know in the comments. Have you heard of a paradigm? Is this new information or have you heard about this before? Okay, cool. So if you do know about this, we're just going to talk about this. So paradigms is really important because if you are in a certain paradigm, realize that whatever level of understanding that you have is wonderful. Not that it's wrong. You know, if you're a kid and you understand one level of playing baseball, you know, that's one level. Or T-ball, right? It's T-ball. So you start out with T-ball, you understand how to hit the ball and you understand the basic rules, right? But there's another level of baseball when you become a professional baseball level where it's like, I understand that I have a clinch in my shoulder, so I have to hit the ball differently. Or like understanding instead of just trying to hit the ball, you understand that you're third to bat and that it's better for you to bunt the ball than to try and make a grand slam, right? And understanding in the larger scheme of things how it's all going to fit together. So that's all the stuff that I really wanted to talk to you about today. I'm really fired up. Thank you for joining me. If you haven't yet, go to my YouTube channel. I'm going to be putting out more YouTube videos throughout this year. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you later. And